Awesome. Prosper, welcome.
What's happening, my man?
Second man on the show. Should have been first. I apologise.
Yeah, you know what happens to the first mouse that goes in the trap?
What?
Yeah. So first mouse that goes on the trap gets eaten by the trap. All right, but the second mouse gets the cheese.
Oh, okay.
All right.
So you're always after the cheese. That's a good analogy. Yeah.
Great stuff.
Okay. So, born and raised in Zimbabwe. Then come over here, successful business owner, SEO expert, part-time model I see sometimes, and proud father. That's how I'd sum up you. But to everyone that doesn't know you out there and who are new with Prosper, tell me a bit about yourself. Where you're from and your story.
Tim, thank you so much, and I really appreciate the platform that you've got going on for yourself here. So yes, you are right. There's many skins to this onion, but what I'm really proud of is the last bit that you said, that I'm a proud father. So yes, I was born and bred in Zimbabwe, and I've been in Australia for the past 7 years. And in the 7 years I've been here, 4 of which I've been married and been a dad.
Oh, wow.
And also started my business. So if you would have met me at some time on the same day, I would have been a husband, a dad, and starting my business.
You started your business on that same day.
Not exactly on the same day, but it was the same
period.
time period. So
Wow.
yeah, so everything just sort of blew up on its own.
Yeah.
And now we're here. It's all exciting. But like I was saying, I've come from Zimbabwe. Things were not really working out for us back home in Zimbabwe. But I've created something that I'm proud of. And thank you for honoring that.
Yeah. I want to dig a little bit deeper into that psychology, and we've talked about it before a little bit. You coming from an area like Zimbabwe and giving you perspective and drive and ambition. And I see it in my partner at the moment. She's from South Africa, but you have this drive that a lot of people don't. And do you think you put that down to your upbringing or your perspective? What do you think in that sense?
Absolutely. So we live in a world of entitlement.
Mm-hmm.
When you've been brought up with everything that you want, you never know what it feels to not have.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've been brought up in a place where you don't have, you do the best to actually have things.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'll give you context, like you say, as to the scenario when I was coming in from Zimbabwe. We had a president for the last 34 years, and it was only the one guy. So he had created a culture for 34 years. I've been in Australia.
We change it every what, 4 months?
Exactly. You go to work in the morning. By the time you go back home, it's a different prime minister. So we'd had a president for 34 years. And he also created a culture within the corporate sector that people never left their jobs. Yeah. So what that meant is, if you're a young riser within the corporate sector, you would never rise to the top because the people are not leaving those jobs. Now that created a stale and stagnant sort of economy and country, so to speak, in as much as food distribution was not there anymore. People were now being corrupt. It was just not a good place to either raise a business or to actually grow up as a young person. So if you grew up in a place where you don't know what your tomorrow looks like because of the inflation, because of the political turmoil, when you come to a place of stability, you hold on to whatever you have and you don't want to let it go.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. And that's what right now is sort of that's your mentality.
Absolutely. I speak to a lot of people and they're like, why do you collect so many books? Because I grew up without the books.
Yeah, wow.
All right. I did not have books growing up. So
I did not know that about you.
Absolutely. So for some people, this is a waste. But this, for me, is fulfilling that childhood need of, if I had these books, I'd do better in life.
Yeah.
If I had this amount of stuff. I'll do better in life. But we've got a problem now. My wife thinks I'm a hoarder.
The camera doesn't show. There's a lot of
So that's it. It's just that childhood sense of lack.
Yeah.
Now that I have an opportunity to actually have them, why not? Yeah. And I also want to have something
it's something we take so much for granted. I mean, we've got libraries everywhere. We walk into a Dimmicks, they're still around as of 2018, and it's something we take for granted. But you just keep them now out of that lack.
Exactly, and because I'm afraid that maybe I'll wake up and I don't have one book that I need in order for me to pass my exams in school.
Yeah.
So
it's a whole different story.
It is. So that's why a lot of people wouldn't understand why we work as hard as we do. Because if you don't work, you don't eat. Around here, if you don't work, there's always somebody who can give you a helping hand. You got a family, or you could get the government to help you out. Back home, if the government can't help itself, how are they going to help their own citizens? So you gotta put in the work.
So you put in the work, and that's something you take into your business today. Is every day you'll take it as an opportunity, as a chance to put in work, and and I think, is that why you're more drawn to the entrepreneurial path, because you can see the effort you're putting into an end result, into your family, into your work, and you driving it, so to speak?
I'd say the better way to put it is what would have drawn me to entrepreneurship, right? So when I was growing up in Zim, at that time, we had no fuel within the country. And the only way you could get fuel was people that would cross the border to go to other countries. All right. So just to give you context, Sydney would have been another country, but Australia is a big continent. So people would come from Melbourne or drive all the way to Sydney, which is about 8 hours, and then drive back with fuel from there, and then sell it at higher prices, or they would sell it to younger distributors like me that would run around with 20-liter bottles to sell to other people that were running businesses or wanted the fuel to commute to and from work.
So this was your first taste of entrepreneurship?
That was the first taste of entrepreneurship, okay, where we used to sell fuel to other people that could afford it. And I remember I would have been 15 or I was 16, and I went into a big brawl where a bigger kid came and stole our stash of fuel.
Oh, wow.
Right. And there's no way you could report it because it was illegal. All right. Exactly. Oh, wow. And you can see how tiny I was. And all these big guys would bully us. And ever since then, I just knew that I had to have more, just in case somebody came and took it. All right. And with that, that's how I've just ingrown that mentality into my business, that if I have 5 clients today and somebody comes and snatches 3, at least I've got 2 left. So I got to work twice as hard in order to get one thing that I want.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a completely different
mindset.
Always look for oversupply.
Absolutely. Then you never be without. Because there's a whole different mindset of somebody who's been without. Because once you do have, you'd always not want to be that guy you were before. But if you've always had and you don't know what it feels like to be without, sometimes some people want to experiment and see what happens. But they know they'll always spring back up. Right? But if you've lived without, you never want to go back to that.
And that drives you. That motivates you. If used correctly.
If used correctly, or sometimes it could be.
Sometimes you could create a story around it, and woe is me. This is where I've come from. But you've built it in a way that I feel like it motivates you. Would that be correct?
Every single day I wake up. First of all, I'm surprised that kid from Africa lives in a place like this. It's not much, but for somebody who's lived in a mud hut for the rest of his life, this is a palace. All right. And then there's always that insecurity. I mean, it becomes to other people a bit of a cause for concern, because then they're like, oh, if you're always not happy with the present and you're always scared about the future and anxious about the past, then you're not living in the now. But if you were brought up in the place where your home could be bombed down to the ground and it's not yours again, there's no sense of permanency in your life. And if you wake up every single time and it's all there, something somehow deep inside of you is just still afraid that what if somebody comes and takes something from me.
So what I'm interested in then is, so you exit Zimbabwe, you come to Australia, completely different culture, completely different outset and mindset, and completely different opportunities. What is the first thing you do? As someone who hasn't been brought up with books, hasn't been brought up, where do you go? Do you go get a job? What happened in that sort of 2-3 months that you landed in Australia? I'm really interested to find out.
I'll tell you, I had $73 in my pocket.
Wow.
When I landed in Australia.
Yeah.
That $73 had to stretch between accommodation, food, up until I got some other.
So it was literally you had to get out. Like, this wasn't a plan. This was, I'm getting out of here. And Australia is the place. And I've got $73 in to do it.
Okay, so obviously the whole strategy to leave Zimbabwe was a long-term game. It took me 4 years to save enough for plane tickets and the visa requirements that were needed. Because apparently back in the time, if you were going to come in on a visa, I came in, you had to have $90 worth of.
Just want to check. Sorry, did I hit the record button? Yes, I did. Starting again. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. You've got it here. Anyway.
In the time that I came to Australia, you had to have 90 days worth of, I think it was 70. No. You had to leave on $75 a day.
Yeah.
All right. For 90 days. You had to show the bank that kind of money.
Yeah.
All right. And I worked it around with friends that bored me so that I put that money in my bank account for 3 months, and then I showed the Australian government that I had the money, and then I had to replace it back. But as soon as I landed in Australia, I had $73. Wow. And I had to look for work. I was staying in St. Kilda there at a backpackers, and I think I was paying $20 a night. So that would have stretched me for 3 nights.
Or 6, 3 nights.
3 nights. All right. So I paid for 2.
Yeah.
And then the rest I ate.
Yeah.
All right. And then I went out and started looking for work. On the 3rd day, I got a job call from the restaurant that then, sort of became the springboard of my career. Okay. So I was working in a restaurant washing dishes.
Yeah.
And I think I was earning $21 an hour.
Yeah.
Okay.
Decent for washing dishes.
That would have been decent, really. So that $21 carried me through. I think I worked there for about 3 months, up until I realized they did not have a Facebook account.
There we go.
All right. And I'm like, how come people, where do people check in this restaurant and stuff like that? And I created one out of fun. Yeah. And the only people that were following that Facebook page were the people that were working within that restaurant.
Which happens about.
One day on a Wednesday afternoon, I remember this. My boss came in, he's Italian. He's like, "Who did this? Who did this internet?" Wow. And I'm like, "Oh, snap. Something is broken. What has happened?" And I was like, "Yeah, I created the page. Don't do this without my permission."
Oh, wow.
And he's like, take it off. Because apparently he had heard that people can write reviews, but nothing had happened.
Yeah.
All right. And all of a sudden, in the week that came after, people actually started writing really good reviews. And he's like, "Oh, come here. Stop the dishes. Do the internet."
Yeah.
All right. And I'm like, whoa. It's just...
This is your first taste of...
This has just been dawned on me, right? I know not a lot about Facebook and how it actually works. I just know how to put up a status. So, and that was the transition from working from the kitchen to being put in the office to actually start managing the whole internet affairs.
Yeah, wow.
And one of these days, I think after about 6 or so months, while I was, learning, and I started learning all I could, going on to courses online and buying all these products and learning how to actually Facebook.
Yeah,
because a lot of people are on Facebook, but not a lot of people can Facebook.
That's it.
All right. So so that then became my foundation, and he started bragging about what I was doing. All right, to his other restaurant mates, and then one guy actually came to me and is like, "I'll pay you $250 a week."
Yeah.
So I'm like, "Oh, wait a minute! I can actually be paid to be on Facebook."
Yeah. Yes, the dream.
I'm like fanboy from Zimbabwe. Now I'm, getting paid to tweet or to like, comment, and share.
I had the same experience. I walked into a bookshop, secondhand bookshop. This old lady. And I was like, "What are you doing with your socials?" And she's like, "Oh, I did AdWords." I was like, "Why? Why are you doing AdWords? You're a bookshop. Secondhand books. You're going to compete against Dimmicks and all the ones."
Right.
And someone talked me into it. I got angry. I was like, you shouldn't have been bamboozled into that. But she's like, "Oh, I want to look at Facebook. Do this whole talk," and then she gives me $100, and I go, "Hang on, you've just given me money to talk about Facebook." Like it's
you wouldn't
I think it's quite ridiculous because now businesses are finally trying to see that there's a Facebook strategy, but even more so back then when you did the restaurant thing, that would have been even more ridiculous.
I would have never fathomed that somebody would want to pay money to be on Facebook, and that's when because now I'm being paid for it. I needed to learn a whole lot more. And my quest for wanting to learn more got me into studying, which I never really, it never was a thing for me.
It goes back to now an appreciation of studying.
Absolutely.
Because now you have the books, you have the resources, you have the internet, you have all this stuff that you didn't have in Zimbabwe that I think would have given you such an advantage over other people who were like, "Oh, I know I need to learn Facebook ads," but then wouldn't go, and they'd be like, "I need to do this, I'll do it tomorrow." But I think you would have been like, "Great, I can go and learn how to do Facebook."
How to do that, exactly. Yeah. And you did mention earlier on how I also dabbled into modeling, right? Up until I even wanted to create a business around it. And what I was doing back then, in retrospect, that was influencer marketing.
Yeah, at its core.
At its core.
When you were doing the modeling or the restaurant?
No, when I was doing the modeling.
Yeah. I
did not realize, they now call it influencer marketing.
Yeah, anyone on Instagram with 2,000 followers can call themselves.
Absolutely. So that's when I went into modeling and I was representing businesses, and a lot of my friends were like, "Oh my God, where did you buy this from? How did you do that?" Or I was actually influencing people that were
following. That's a fun question when you get, how did you do
that? Right. Yeah. And now they call it a thing. But back in the time when I did it, nobody knew what it was.
Yeah.
All right. And the fact that I kept representing all these brands, I also noticed that they were not doing anything with the photos that were taking of me.
Oh, really? They were just taking them?
They were just taking them and then hoping that somebody would just come and see them on their Facebook and not marketing them. And then from then on, that's when I realized there is yet another layer of work that needs to be done to all these businesses that are not marketing themselves. Well, I wanted them to share my photo.
I
wanted them to be famous. But then I realized there's a business behind that. And me getting in touch with the art department was not any far off from knowing the CEO of the company.
Yeah.
And then telling CEO of the company that use me in your photos because I will actually make you
more money.
There's
a bottom line to it.
So that's then how I integrated both of these things. The whole modeling now became the whole digital agency.
Yeah.
Because it morphed into one thing. So from
right.
Yeah. And then now I started working and actually helping more and bigger businesses so that they could actually start scaling a business that's profitable and enjoyable.
And that's a lot of fun. I want to talk about, you said there would have been a point in time where you got married at the same time, you had a child, and you started a business. So what time frame, are we talking weeks within those things? Are we talking months?
All right. So to be really, really, I was married on the 4th of January.
Yeah.
All right.
Good month.
And our little girl was born on the 6th of January.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Right. So that's.
Were you worried that was it a year in between? Or?
Oh no, the same year.
Same year.
Yeah. On the same year. I was married on the 4th.
Your wife could have given birth on your wedding day.
No, it was all planned. It was all planned. Yeah. Okay. So on the 4th of January, that's when we got married. Yeah. On the 6th, we were already in hospital expecting our little girl.
That's amazing.
The thing is, because I just come in to Australia, all right, and when we sort of connected, me and my wife, we had sort of spent 3 years knowing each other, and then she fell pregnant, and culturally, it wouldn't be accepted that we have a child out of wedlock.
Yeah, right.
So we had to instantly fast track the wedding, and we calculated when the baby was due, and then we had to make sure we were getting married earlier because this was January. So December, January, the beds and registers of marriages, they're all closed. Nobody wants to do anything. The first date we got was the 4th. So that just worked out. So I was a husband and a dad in the same week.
Yeah.
All right. And then pretty much after that, I was looking after both my girls. I gave up doing whatever I was doing work-wise, and I went on and started my business. So
what I'm interested in, and I hear it a lot from entrepreneurs and people I follow and people I talk to, is that instance of having a child is very motivating in terms of what am I doing with my life? Take a step back. Now I've got someone to provide for. How does that influence the decision of starting a business? And is it a positive influence, do you feel?
I think people are different. I was a mess.
Right.
I didn't know what was going on. So much was happening.
I like that you can admit that.
Yeah, no, I was a total mess. Yeah. Like I was just, nothing was planned. I was responding to life. I was not being, I was reacting. Everything was just whacking a mole.
Yeah.
And it just then so happened that it fell into place. All right. Without my active saying that I'm doing this and I'm hoping this would stick. All right. My not going to work was purely out of the fact that nobody else was going to look after my wife and my daughter. She just had a cesarean. You know what I mean? And then there's no way that I was going to
your 9 to 5 guy.
Exactly. I wasn't concentrating at work, and it wasn't really helping anyone that I was there. If I was operating machinery, or if it was a job that involved machinery, because I was just afraid that something would happen at home, and I wasn't all together. So I just quit that job. I came back home, and I was looking at my girls, and then I was like, okay, what are we gonna do now? And that's when I set in, and I was like, okay, I've been given an opportunity by these people to work on their Facebooks and stuff like that. Why don't I just keep doing that? Looking at my little girl, I've got photos of me, her crying, me crying on the phone, but I'm on the phone trying to get business.
Yeah, wow.
And my wife came and took photos.
Doing
exactly. Stuff. And then there's my old desk where we had the baby sitting on there, and I had the one computer before I had the 2 screens, My little girl was sitting there, and I'm just sitting there, and I'm just typing away. And I didn't even know what was going on. Nice. There are loads of photos of me.
You're building something.
We just kept building, and now my little girl actually reminds me of who I was when I was a kid, and I want to get her what I thought I would have wanted. Yeah. So now that keeps
that keeps instilling.
Absolutely, you know what I mean? And I never want that she, not that I'm spoiling her, but I never want that she asks for anything and I know I can't.
Yeah.
I want to tell her we cannot because she can wait, because we are, that's a lesson and that's discipline, but I don't want to be able not to afford it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I know the difference. Like, when Christmas rolls around, you can be like, okay, you want a Barbie doll playhouse. I don't know.
Absolutely. Whatever kids want these days. I want to be able to afford it, but I want discipline enough for her to say you can wait or you earn it.
would you instill sort of entrepreneurial disciplines within her? You know, say she wants, you know, and this is, I don't know, how old's your daughter now?
She's 3. She's a
three.
teenager. So 3 going on.
So you know, as she gets older, you know, sort of 6, 10, 15, as she sort of wants things, you know, she might want a handbag or a phone, or it's the question of not how can I, or I want it, and this, it's more how can I afford it, not, you know, why, you know. So you're going to try and instill the good old sell lemonade. I don't see any people selling lemonade in Australia, but do you know what I mean?
Okay, so she at some point actually earned more money than I did in that week.
Okay.
She was in a Bonds commercial and she got paid a bundle, you know. And then I was like, okay, since you are,
how can we use this?
since you are earning more money than I am, maybe I should just start charging rent, you know. or board or whatever it is. But okay, so there's talk about leaving your kids $1 million. There's, you know, when property investments and stuff like that. Every single day we try and put $1 away in a big jar.
$1.
Yeah, just $1 away. I'll show you the big jar.
Yeah, I'd love to see it.
All right. It's
I won't run off for it. So.
Sorry,
I won't run off for it. It's okay.
All right. Just hold on. I'll quickly show you real quick. Just pause.
Yeah. Should I pause the Zoom as well? How do I do that? No. Okay.
Sorry. Yeah.
All right. So this is the jar. I like that. It's massive Chivas Regal. Did you drink the Chivas Regal?
No, I got this off of a
this
friend.
podcast is not sponsored by Chivas Regal. Yet.
Yeah, so we put $1 in there every single day. See, I actually cut it off, and we have called it saving.
Cool.
Yeah, Kalia, have you saved money?
Yeah.
So she knows naturally that every single day I have to do that.
Yeah.
So that's part of us teaching her that you got to put something away all the time. Okay. She earns her treats.
Yep.
After she's done something, either she's picked up her clothes or she's cleaned or helped mom to clean the house.
Yeah.
She earns a treat.
Yeah.
So you work, you get paid for something else.
Yeah.
And I think in the meantime, when all is happening, I'll be replacing whatever is in there with real money and putting it away, either into an index fund or some bond or something that she can pick up on her 18th birthday.
That's perfect. Yeah.
All right. And this will be the real aspect of the money is actually being placed in and she calls it saving.
Yeah.
So,
and this is at 3 years old.
She's 3 years old.
This is you teaching a 3-year-old how to save money. That's amazing. I've never heard it. Admittedly, I don't talk to a lot of parents, but I've never. That's an amazing thing. I think a lot of people should take under consideration.
Well, it depends on how people want to raise their own kids, but that's how I'm doing it. And she's got her own shelf of books.
Yep.
Chicken Soul for whatever. 5 languages of love of children.
Yeah.
Rich Dad Poor Dad for teens.
Yeah, you'll give that to
strategy for bringing teens and parents together. So I think when we are at a level, think positive for kids. 21 day challenge. That's how you save money for 21 days. So I feel like when she gets to an age where she's reading and we're playing around together, she can read a section and then we'll talk about that. I want her to be able to experience both sides of not having and also having, because she's going to be brought up in a scenario where she has it all, right? And
your love and
absolutely. But I also want her to actually learn as she grows. So this is why we've got all the things going on, and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, exactly. That's incredible. That's I like that. That'll make a really good bit. I want to talk about your passion for marketing, because it's coming a fair lot, and I see a lot of your videos and talking about it. For me, what I love about marketing is the attention, the 0 to 3 seconds of how you get that attention, placing a message that speaks to the right person and using that to create a desired response. That fascinates me, and there's levels of that. But for you, what would it be about marketing in particular that it has attracted you to it and has made you form a company around it and everything? What do you think has been that aspect?
Absolutely. I've got one or three words to that. I believe we're here to learn, we're here to contribute. And when you learn things or mistakes or experiences from other people, then you get to have a happier existence. And everybody always wants to contribute to a better world. Oh my God, I want to change the world. I want to help people. I want to make it as easy for other people to exist as possible. And it's through marketing that is possible. When you see World Vision saying sponsor a child, it's all marketing to get you to help somebody else who can't help themselves. So who am I to stop any of that from happening? If I've got the opportunity to bring out that message to the world and help somebody have a meal, have shelter, if I can help a big company to create a product that would help you make money, who am I to stop that happening in your existence? Who am I to stop a school for marketing to get more kids to go and get more education? Who am I? So when I ask myself that question, I will just see myself as small as a raindrop in a thunderstorm. And then when you don't go out and explore what else is possible and how else you can contribute, then you're as good as dead. You know? So marketing is
that's awesome.
So marketing is that love and appreciation that you give to anything in the world. And if you ride a bicycle or if you have any sort of possession or any piece of property, if you don't touch it or if you don't do anything to it, it dies or it gathers dust.
Well, your product can be as amazing as possible and do all these things, but if you can't communicate it,
exactly.
Where are you?
All right. So then comes people like you and me, and then brings that product to life. And then we then enhance other people's existence. So that's just what we're doing. It's not Facebook ads or SEO or whatever. We haven't even touched that. Those are just, means to an end. What we're doing is enhancing the livelihood of humans. Entrepreneurs are out there creating. They created that chair. They created that phone you're listening to this podcast from, this microphone.
Or the platform, or the Spotify, or the shop.
Exactly.
Or the SoundCloud, whatever.
So if somebody like me, who's a marketer, did not help them amplify that message, none of this would be existing.
And, someone needs to hear a lot of what you've said through these podcasts. Maybe they're listening to it on Stitcher because someone
created that.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Another thing I want to touch on is, you've got a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge, and you've lived through a lot. If you had a room of 20-year-olds or something, 18, 20-year-olds, and you're talking to them just as they're about to graduate, what advice would you give to them, either entrepreneurial or whatever, that would give them a real kick up the butt and go, okay, A, I've got time, but B, I need to do something with it? Do you have some thoughts around that?
You see, the thing is, everybody thinks we're all cut from the same cloth. Even if you put out your finger like this, no fingers on the same hand are the same height. All right? So each and every one of us is endowed with unique gifts and special talents that we have. My advice to anyone who is 20 years old, I'll be like, seek you first. Seek what it is that you can bring to the universe and help other people have a happier existence. And once you find that thing, shout from every top of the roof to make sure that people have that talent.
Yeah.
Because if you go on and want to latch onto what other people have done, that might not be your thing.
No.
And before you know it, you exhaust yourself.
Yeah.
You burn yourself out because you're trying to fit into a cup that's not meant for you. So when you find out who you are, right, then the world will take shape.
Yeah. And does it matter how long that takes? Because some people might be sitting here at 25 going, I haven't figured it out. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm in my second year of a master's degree, or I'm working a job that I don't like, but I'm doing it because the system told me to. You know,
Colonel Sanders, I don't know what his name was. He started his KFC at 75.
Yeah.
Who else?
Donald
Trump would have
70 and he's the president.
70 and now he's
love him or hate him.
Exactly. He's gotten his dream. Some people think everything is linear, that you grow up and you go to kindergarten, you go to high school, and then you get engaged, you get married, and then you have 2.4 kids, and then
2.4 kids.
You get a job, and then you retire. People think it's linear.
Yeah.
But everybody else is dealt a different card at a different time within their own existence.
Yeah.
All right? So wait for it to come. Listen for the answers, because half of the time you notice that when you're doing what you're absolutely supposed to be doing, it doesn't feel like work. Right now, Tim, I don't want to lie to you, I'm working right now because somebody's going to listen to this podcast. All right, somebody's going to watch this video and seek me out and find out what it is that I'm doing, and in the process they now find the body of work that I've done. They better pack a lunch. Because I've been there for a while. All right? And when you start doing things that you absolutely love, because it's coming from your core.
Yeah. And people read that.
You know?
People will feel that more than,
Then you're trying to be an imposter in something that you're not. Yeah. So the thing is, Hollywood has messed up people's brains.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? You see an episode where somebody's born, they go to kindergarten, they go to high school, they go to university, and they get married, they get a job, they get promoted, they buy a house, they buy a car, and then they go to retirement, and then they die. All in a space of 30 minutes plus commercials. All right? So when you start looking at things like that, all right, all in the space of 30 minutes and commercials. Yeah. Hollywood is frustrated what people now anticipate, and people now have a problem with instant gratification.
Yeah.
Patience.
Yeah.
It takes 21 years to be 21 years old.
Right.
All right?
You'll live other lifetimes.
Yes. So if you rush things, all right, it's like rushing through in life. When you're driving, you can't just go through a red light. Right. If the red light is there, you stop because there's cars coming in. If you go in through there, what happens?
You get hit. You
get hit because everybody else has waited their turn, and now their turn has come, and then they're going.
Yeah.
So when you hit a roadblock in life, or if you want to do things so fast, sometimes you got to learn a few lessons so that you appreciate where you've been and what you're going through.
Yeah.
All right, and then you will be allowed to go to the next level.
Yeah.
If you play video games, every level has its own devils. All right, but other people want to just go zip through and go to the next level. Then what's the whole point?
You in a video game sense, you'll die and you'll get hit and you'll get pushed down, but you'll learn through that experience that there's a guy around the corner, so I'll have to sneak around this corner and get in that way. It's the same in life and in business. I'm sure you'll make a mistake. We're even talking about it. You might take on a client that you're like, I'm not too sure about. There's a couple of red flags here.
Right.
You send the invoice, they don't pay. but you learn those lessons. You learn that. And
you live and learn, and like I said, you're here to live, you're here to learn, and you're here to contribute. A lot of our lives, what we're doing is learning. Yeah. All right? And when we've learned, we learn from our own experiences, or we learn from other people's experiences. That's when we get to live, and then we get fulfilled by contributing. Yeah. Because if you're not giving, like right now, you're giving off of your time, you drove all the way here, because you know this will be something that you would say, I have given this my time. We've frozen our time. This day, we've recorded a piece of today. Yeah. Now we're gonna throw it in the universe.
See what happens.
See what happens.
Yeah.
All right, you've contributed. You know, obviously you feel good about it, even if you're not getting paid for this or nobody is. But we know we've done something. And somebody somewhere is going to pick this up and do something with it.
I hope so.
Well, if you give it a good intention.
If you listen to this, do something. Whatever it is you want to do.
Do it.
Do it. Just do it. That's the other thing. Nike got this right. Very right. Is just do it.
Absolutely.
And I think that's a lesson that I learned from you on a constant basis. Is you got married, you had a kid, and then you went, I need to start a business. You went and did it. You just did it.
Well,
you learned along the way. And you bought books and you studied and you took gratitude and perspective into account and just did. And that's awesome.
Well,
awesome.
Thank you, man.
And I think that's a really cool place to end it. But before I do, anybody that's listening to this and wants to reach out to Prosper in terms of business, in terms of knowledge and this content, where can we find you on a number of platforms, and is there anywhere specifically you want people to reach out to you?
These days I'm just operating off of, okay, so if I would say a Facebook profile, that's where I'm operating from. That's my living room. Yeah. And then from then on it will tell you which place you want to go to, either Instagram or either LinkedIn. But if you look me up on Facebook, Prosper Taruvinga, then you
spell that for everyone too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Prosper. I think I'm the only Prosper that actually warrants to be followed.
There we go. Go and test it out. Go and punch it.
Just type in Prosper Melbourne or Prosper Digital Marketing. I think I've done enough to have earned being called Prosper, just like Oprah, you know?
Awesome. Fantastic. Well, Prosper, this has been Prosper. I'm Tim. We've been talking.
Thank you so much, man.
Yeah, no, thank you for your time.
Absolutely.
Cool.